Welcome back to another Backyard Bullies podcast episode. I'm your host Cam, here with my boy Pete as usual. Pete, man, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm ready to get it started.
That's good. We got a special episode for y'all today, man, because NFL free agency is among us. Now, a lot of paper has already been getting thrown around the league. We've seen it with Myles Garrett, Josh Allen, so we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Myles Garrett, man, did he make the right choice staying in Cleveland? Let's start with that.
Okay, so we're talking purely monetary uh urges, then yes, of course he did. He's the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. So I
Hmm.
mean, at 40 million a year, you can't really beat that. But if we're talking about winning purposes, he
Yeah,
should have
yeah.
been gone.
I completely agree. I mean, and the thing was, he was been begging basically to, he did that little thing where he was saying he wanted to leave and all that just to come back and stay, but too much money was offered now. Now, legacy wise, like you said, I mean, he's pretty much cooked, bro. Unless the Browns can turn around, but Browns, man, they,
Yeah,
they need a quarterback. They basically got to do a whole kind of, they need anybody.
yeah. I mean, they say
Yeah,
money doesn't matter until money matters.
matters. Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Now, I will say, man, the Browns, like you said, they haven't really had a relevant quarterback. I mean, they tried the Deshaun Watson experiment, and it kind of went. He was dealing with some. I don't know if it was maybe mental or maybe he was dealing with injuries or what was that all about? Or
Man, I feel like with that it's a bit of both. It was
mm-hmm,
definitely, injuries, so he didn't really get back in his groove right after.
mm-hmm.
But the mental aspect of it, I mean, when you have off the field issues,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
there's
yeah.
really it's really
Yeah,
it's
off the
kind of hard to
field
get back.
issues.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Besides table
Field
issues,
issues.
you really
It's
you
hard to
have
yeah.
to
He
you
had the
have to
whole,
try
and
to
it was
get
a
back in
whole,
the
yeah, it
mindset.
was a whole case and all that. Now, I will say with the Browns, it always seems like they kind of catch receivers like at the end of their career. Like, is a receiving core? I mean, with the whole team, I don't want to make this a whole Brown segment, but we could do a whole segment on the Browns because they need a whole team almost
They
in a
need
way.
yeah,
Yeah,
they need to just
yeah,
scrap that team,
mm,
start from nothing,
yeah.
and,
This
and
almost
try to work their way up.
this almost reminds me of like KG in Minnesota in a way. Like Miles Garrett's like the
The
new
KG.
KG. Yeah, it's like we got KG, but the rest of the team. So man, obviously this free agency has been I feel like one of the more, I guess just because the money makes it seem like it's been one of the more upbeat, kind of just like a lot of moves have been happening. But Josh Allen, we all know he got paid. He's got the most guaranteed money in NFL history. Is Josh Allen the man for the Bills? Can he get it done?
I feel like it's about to be his time here
Hmm.
shortly. Maybe not next year, but in the next 2 to 3 years, I think Josh Allen's gonna be holding the Lombardi Trophy.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, we saw what he did, when he before last season, he was
Hmm.
always that guy. But last season with really no receiving core, um, and no like superstardom power on the offensive end,
Hmm.
he was the MVP.
Yeah, he was an MVP. Now let me tell you, do you think he earned that MVP, or do you think maybe a lot of people said it should have maybe went to Lamar because he put up
Now,
better numbers than when he won MVP? Or you know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's
Now I
kind of.
will say it's probably a bit of like voters fatigue
Mm,
and the fact that Josh Allen did just as much, if not more, in other categories
hmm.
with less.
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. And then the thing about yeah, I mean, really, I agree. Lamar, you know what I mean? He got his two. I think it was Josh's turn. And like you said, the team they had much less. The Ravens all around have a pretty solid team. You know what I mean? In
Yeah,
comparison to the Bills, so I would definitely give Josh Allen that advantage.
and you kind
You're
of can't
mhm.
with my fault with Lamar.
Like
You kind of can't say like, oh well, his stats were better this year, so he should have beat Josh Allen. Well, the last 2 years, that would mean that he wouldn't have won the MVP because his stats
mhm.
weren't, necessarily as good as
Yeah,
some of the
yeah.
counterparts.
That's true. That's true. Now, who would you say is under more pressure, Josh or Lamar, to win the Super
I
Bowl?
feel like I feel like it's gonna have to be Josh just because he got his
The
money now.
money. Hmm.
This, he's the highest paid quarterback, the highest paid player ever.
Mm, yeah,
So,
yeah.
he got his money. He got they just signed Joshua Palmer for another receiver. So, I mean, they're trying to put the pieces around him. So I feel like he has a little more pressure.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree because man, once that money, once the money comes into play, it's like the clock is ticking. So I definitely agree. I definitely agree. Now we're gonna go ahead and bring it to your guy, man. Old Green Bay Packers, man. Devontae Adams. You know what I mean? So for Devontae, he goes to the Rams in this offseason. He tried to do his thing with reunite with his homie Aaron Rodgers on the Jets. Now he's on the Rams. Do the Rams have a legit chance to make any noise? They probably got one of the top maybe five offenses in the league now. With the receiving core and all that. Is there something there with the Rams and Devontae?
So with the Rams and Devontae, they had Puka and Cooper Cup.
Yeah.
I feel like Devontae at this stage of his career is still an upgrade from Cooper Cup at this stage of his career.
Mm. Yeah, I
It's
agree.
only a few, it's still a few years removed from the Triple Crown that Cooper Cup had, and I feel like Devontae is a little more established as a route runner and
Mm-hmm.
a spectacular catcher. Like he's gonna just big body and he's gonna get that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that the Rams probably have top 2 to 3 wide receiver room in the league.
Mm. Yeah, the Rams, I think he made the right choice. I think him going to the Jets, I think he just really wanted to be reunited with Aaron. He was kind of feeling like maybe we can make that, the sparks, the magic there. But the Jets, they just had basically a whole little, they weren't the whole season they weren't really functioning. I'd really say since last season, once Aaron kind of the Achilles, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
on that. Since that, man, it's kind of just the Jets. They've been hopeless. So I think this is a good. Maybe he can kind of. I'm not gonna say rejuvenate his career but kind of get him back to a place of relevancy again because he kind of is forgotten a bit in a way.
yeah.
Um, so with we all know DK, man, maybe the what is he? Maybe the strongest receiver ever. you know, you know what I mean. And then he ran track like the man he can do it all. He's a superhuman. So we know
Yeah,
DK went to the not when we go
the Steelers.
Steelers. DK to the Steelers. Now the Steelers, their main problem is they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah,
They had two decent. I would say Russell was decent. Fields were decent. You know what I mean? Quarterbacks, and now they weren't under contract. Fields is now on the he's on. And what was it
Fields went to the
where Justin
Jets
Fields
where
go?
Aaron
Yeah,
just left.
yeah, to the Jets. So it's kind of like did DK make the right move, and did the Steelers make the right move? I think they had to give like a second round and then something else to acquire him. So.
So for the Steelers, they definitely made the right move pairing DK Metcalf and George Pickens. I
Mm.
mean, it's kind of two of the same type of receivers. They both make their
hmm
money on the go balls
I was gonna
and then
say they're both
the
kind of they're
slants.
yeah athletic freaking Nate. You know what I mean? Go routes and
Yeah,
stuff. They're not that Ocho Cinco type receiver. The footwork and all that. The route
yeah.
running. They're more
They're
like a
not. Yeah, they're definitely not running the whole route tree as
yeah.
well as some other wide receivers in the league.
I think man with the quarterback situation, I almost feel bad for them in a way because now they have a decent receiving core. They have two decent, above average receivers, but there's no quarterback there. So you kind of know more about the football, the ins and out of maybe how like teams go about acquiring quarterbacks and such. Like, is there something they can do maybe in the draft or like free agency is still, on and going?
So
Like
I feel
with
like with the Steelers, it's time for them to go ahead and take their medicine and draft a quarterback.
hmm
Because I mean, they tried to draft Mason Rudolph, that didn't work out. They went with Kenny Pickett, it didn't work out. They got they just acquired Justin Fields, they just acquired Russell Wilson, and
hmm
with Justin Fields, it didn't really work out. It was going okay, but their defense was really carrying them. And
Yeah.
then with Russell Wilson, I mean, they lost 5 of their last 5 games. They lost all 5. So and it wasn't like close either. It was blowouts pretty much.
hmm
Um, so I feel like they have to draft a young QB, try to develop him. And if you want to get a stopgap quarterback in between, I think Aaron Rodgers is the way to go.
hmm
Um, I
Yeah,
feel like
that's still valuable.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
still
yeah,
available, and I
valuable.
feel like the reason that he's not being viewed in the light right now that he needs to be is because the Jets let him run the
Kind of do what he
organization.
wants. That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah,
Now, the Steelers, we all know they have, what is it, Mike Tomlin?
yeah,
Uh, if Aaron were to go to the Steelers with Mike being there, Mike kind of hard nosed, like, it's Mike
yeah.
way or the highway. Do you think Aaron and him would have, like, how would that relationship be?
I don't necessarily think it'll be butting heads. I feel like it'll be more of, look, this is my team. Either you want to be here or you
And
don't.
that's Mike saying this?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
Mike saying it's like this is
Hmm.
my team. Either you want to be here or you don't. I'm
Hmm.
proven. I've won the Super Bowl. I haven't had a
Hmm.
losing season.
Yeah, so
You
he never
just
had a
came
losing
off a
season.
losing
Yeah.
season. Like,
So you
and
think
at the end of
now?
the day,
Hmm.
Aaron's gonna have to live with that because he really has nowhere else to go.
Yeah, yeah. This
That's
is
gonna
like
be good enough.
now. Well, the Vikings are in question for him, and the Giants are. I believe. Is there like? Do you see anywhere like what's the best option? You think the Steelers are the best option for him?
I think the Steelers are the best option. If he goes to the
Hmm.
Vikings, I mean, they have JJ McCarthy. That's who they want as their franchise guy. So
Hmm.
if you slip up a little bit, well, they have their franchise guy
Yeah.
ready for you.
Like yeah. So yeah, I agree, man. With the Steelers, the thing is, Mike keep having these. He keeps never had a losing season. That's great, but eventually we're gonna need to see some, either get to the
I need to
Super
see the
Bowl,
play.
some, yeah, or
It's
win a
like kind of like
playoff game.
KD, kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
KD.
it
Can
is,
we see
yeah,
a playoff win?
yeah, something. You know what I mean? I know. I think he's a hell of a coach. Never having a losing season, that's nothing to, you know, that's great. But I think yeah, with the Steelers, and maybe Aaron can be that guy for him. They got DK now, so they got a good. Now who's receiving core? Would you say is better though, the Rams or the Steelers?
It's kind of by default. It kind of has to go to the Rams because
Because
the
of the
Steelers have
quarterback.
no quarterback right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I
yeah.
feel like even without a quarterback, like if the quarterback wasn't the issue, just say Matthew Stafford was on both
On.
teams.
Hmm.
I feel like the Rams would probably still have a better receiving core
Hmm.
because they have guys who can run the whole route tree.
Yeah,
Whereas DK and George
there's
Pickens,
kind of
they're
just.
kind of, they're go balls and slants and big body catches. So I did want to talk about Justin Fields going to the Jets.
Mm.
And I just wanted your opinion on whether or not Justin Fields is going to continue down the path that his career is going, or if he's going to try to, or not maybe try, but he's going to try. But
Mm.
will he kind of save his career like a Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold?
Okay. Now, what I would say is he was with the Bears. It kind of, I don't even really know what happened there. Fizzled out. Boom. He goes to Green Bay. We're thinking, okay. I mean, not Green Bay. Steelers. So we're thinking, okay, maybe this is gonna be like this can be his team. Russell wasn't there at the time. Russell then comes in, and Russell basically just like it was kind of like in the beginning they were fighting for it. Who's going to be the
Hmm.
starting? It was Russell, it was him. Then I don't know if it was that, the Steelers just like Russ's what's that called? Like that veteran, presence, and they
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
maybe he was just the safer choice to go with. Because even when Russell struggled, I thought there were times when, hey, let's at least try Fields out a bit more. You know what I mean? Because what did he only play about like what 6 games or something
Yeah,
like
he
that?
played 6 games. He
I
went
mean,
4-2.
yeah,
So
so that's not bad considering that the
yeah,
team isn't like an elite team. So what I think, man, I'm not gonna say it's make or break for him now, but I will say he definitely has to he got to show us something because I'm
yeah.
starting to wonder, can he be a starter quarterback in the NFL? You know what I mean? And that's no knock on him. Like you said, he was 4-2, and he has been in some weird situations. But it's like it's this is his third team now, and I need to see something, some kind of consistency,
Hmm.
for an extended period of time of saying, hey, that guy, he may not ever be a top five quarterback in the league or whatever, but he needs to be at least to where I'm like, okay, we got him. I know my team can win a game. You know what I mean? I need to see something for at least a extended period of time that
Yeah.
he's a starter quarterback.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, so Justin Fields when he was with the Bears, he had a different coach every year. There was a whole, and the Bears never tried to give him the help that they have given Caleb Williams. And Caleb Williams was a rookie this year.
Hmm.
So they brought in Caleb Williams and immediately got him receivers, offensive linemen, running
Hmm.
back, and they never did any of that for Justin Fields. So he didn't. I feel like with the Bears, he didn't really have a fair shake.
Okay,
With the
yeah.
Steelers, he couldn't score. I mean, he won. He went 4-2, but they weren't scoring touchdowns. They were kicking field goals.
Hmm.
So I can't attribute all those wins to Justin Fields, especially when their defense was playing as good as it was.
Hmm.
But now that we're with the Jets, man, I'm just hoping that he can kind of play his game, play his style, and show us something. Because he has some, he has a good arm. He throws the ball fairly well.
He's fairly
Just
he's honestly athletic,
yeah,
and
he's really
yeah, yeah,
athletic. And
he's
he's a,
very and you can almost he's very mobile. So
yeah.
that's something else that he's really good at. We really haven't been able to see just because he hasn't really been able to play.
Yeah, and they compare him to Jalen Hurts. They say he's a poor man, Jalen Hurts, and I can kind of see that in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, I can kind of see
Hey,
that in a way,
hey,
and
yeah.
it's gonna be exciting to see him reunite with his old college buddy, Garrett
Mm.
Wilson from Ohio State.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I got I think too they the team is in a weird situation. So let's say like he doesn't work out. They're not really it's not like, the team is in like in a position where if it doesn't work out with him, they made a super mistake. They really didn't have to pay him a
yeah,
whole lot. And I think that maybe this will really be a time where he can actually rock out, show what he can do.
yeah,
I don't know if they're gonna necessarily be a good team or anything, but maybe he can
yeah.
prove that he is a good player, is a
I
above
mean,
average.
yeah, I mean they paid him two for 40 million, so 20 million a year. Not quite sure if that's fully guaranteed, but with only 20 million, I would hope it is.
Hmm.
Uh, so they're not really spending too much money on the quarterback, so they can put pieces around him to hopefully help
Mm.
the
And
team
I was gonna
win
ask
some
you
games.
because you know a bit more than me. So do the Jets like do they have like do they need like do they, who's like the receivers or like do they have anything there as far as the other team like the rest of the team?
So I mean, their defense, not last season, but the season prior, they were top three in everything.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, what really went wrong necessarily last
Hmm.
year. But if they can get back to that same, because it's almost the same personnel. So if
Okay.
they can get back to that kind of same intensity, the same
Hmm.
level of play on the offense, they might need a receiver or two because they still have Garrett Wilson, who's
Hmm.
top five in the league in my opinion. They have Brees Hall, who's a great running back, and I mean Justin Fields. If he can make something shake, and they get another receiver, a piece or
They
two,
might be able to do something.
they might be able to do something. I'm not necessarily saying they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh.
I don't think that, but I think
Hmm.
they can, go to the playoffs maybe.
Hmm. Now, yeah, I think like you said, I mean that sounded like if all that winds up playing out to the best way it can, I think they'll have like a nice little team. But we got to go ahead and talk about Aaron Rodgers. I know we touched on him. Should he go to the Jets? Should he go to the Giants? Should he go to the Steelers? Aaron, like you said, is it if nothing happens with Aaron, is his career pretty much over?
Oh yeah, but I feel like the longer it goes, actually, because this is only day one or two of free agency, the
Mm,
longer that Aaron Rodgers goes without being signed, the less chance he has of getting signed.
mm-hmm.
Like if somebody didn't sign him on day 5 or 6, it's pretty much
He's
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 gonna have to
he's
retire.
fried.
He's gonna hang it
Yeah.
up, or he's waiting for next season when somebody's franchise quarterback gets hurt and
Hmm.
they need a quarterback to
Hmm.
continue the season going to try to make the playoffs or something.
Mm. Now, why isn't like maybe Miami in question to as of today? Miami hasn't. They have Tua still, and he had like what 5 concussions in the last 4 years or 4 concussions or
Yeah,
something like
something
that.
like that.
Like what I mean. So why isn't like maybe Miami a place for Aaron? Like why isn't that a consideration? Is that they invested so much money in Tua, so they're kind of like we're just gonna ride out with Tua, or are they waiting for somebody better in Miami, or
That's probably. I mean, I'm probably going with what you're saying. Originally, like they spent 55 million a year on Tua,
Mhm.
so unless Aaron Rodgers is coming to the team on a vet minimum to be the backup,
Yeah.
then I doubt that they're gonna pick him up. And I know he's not gonna want to come be a backup to
Hmm.
anybody.
Yeah,
He's,
yeah.
he has a big ego. I'm a Packers fan, so I'm gonna admit Aaron Rodgers, he has a big ego.
He does. He
He
does.
he wants to be the main character every time, and without without being a starter, he's not gonna go to another team. I don't think.
Okay. Now, I touched on Miami. I said it as if it wasn't my team, fins up all day. Now, with the situation going on in Miami, with Tua, with Tyreek Hill, at one point, remember he made that video, he was like, I'm done. I'm done or something, I want out.
Yeah,
Now, like what can Miami maybe do in this free agency to, like what do they need? Or is it maybe just the personnel or isn't clicking? They have the right people, but it's just not,
I
what's going
mean,
on? Is it the
well,
fact that
okay,
Tua is just
so
injured? Yeah.
their biggest their biggest style gap is cold weather games. They can't win in the cold. But in all reality, they just need a different quarterback. Tua,
Mhm.
I don't want to say he's, you know, not an NFL caliber quarterback, but with the team that Miami has, they have a lot of speedsters, and Tua's arm strength isn't really there
Mm.
to
To
have
get
that
it
type of
down the yeah.
team. Yeah,
So, yeah,
and I
so
mean he's
yeah,
injury
they're moving so
prone.
fast down the field, his
Yeah,
arm can't even.
keep up.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I don't know what the Dolphins are gonna do next season. They just lost Javon Holland, which is their star free safety.
Mm.
Um, I forgot where he went, but I know he signed somewhere else in free agency. I want to say Tennessee maybe.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, they just lost him, so they're not really, and they lost Christian Wilkins last season. They're not really keeping any of their core defensive pieces,
Hmm.
and it's cool if you can score, but you still have to stop people from scoring.
Yeah, yeah. Now I hate to keep being the one to ask you these questions, but I'm gonna just go ahead and let everybody know. Pete's IQ in football, A. He's got me beat, y'all. So who would you say is the biggest winner and loser of this free agency?
So for the biggest winner of this free agency, I'm gonna have to go with the New England Patriots.
Hmm.
Because yes, they had the most money to be able to spend this year and like cap space,
Hmm.
but they're really spending it wisely. They're getting linemen, they're getting key players that they need to fill gaps. They got Carlton Davis from the Lions, who is top 10, 15 cornerback in the league, and
Hmm.
pairing him with Christian Gonzalez. That's probably the best cornerback duo in the league.
Okay, okay. Now, as far as you said that was a winner. Now, as far as
Yeah.
loser, I know down here in Texas, man, in the H, we've been taking some L's. Would you say that maybe
Oh
Houston
man.
is the is the biggest loser?
So I'm gonna probably go with that. Yeah, Houston's
Yeah,
the biggest loser. They lost Laramie Tunsil. They traded him away. I mean, they
yeah.
got 4 draft picks, which
He
is
was
nice
a
draft capital.
five-time Pro Bowl, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
he
yeah.
was going
Five, man.
crazy. He's
Yeah.
been going crazy,
He's
and he was top 5 in pass blocking this season.
mm,
Like he had a little problem with holding penalties, but I don't know how you're gonna fill that hole that he's gonna create in that line
mm-hmm.
with anybody else,
Because CJ was
considering he was
already under
top
a lot of
5.
duress, like as far
Yeah.
as yeah.
So you
So
have one bright spot in the
man.
offensive line, and you traded it
Mm-hmm.
away for 4 draft picks. I
Mm-hmm.
hope you go get, Trent Williams.
Now, you got anything else you want to really touch on as far as free agency? You got anything?
As far as free agency is concerned, man, I feel like, we're only in day 2, so it's gonna be hard to kind of gauge how well or how
Mm-hmm.
poorly some teams have done. But it's definitely a lot of big splashes, a lot of big names moving around,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I was just having a conversation at work today about the Texans. Shout out my homeboy Daniel, but he always
Shout out
he
Daniel, man.
he a fool, man. Oh man, he loved them Texans, and he's
Hmm.
I just want to let him know on live they're not winning the Super Bowl this year. Actually, there is one last thing I did want to say. I just found out. Shout out my homeboy Diego for going ahead and sending me that. That DeAndre Hopkins signed with the Ravens on a 1 year deal worth 6 million. Man, hopefully they could break through and finally get a ring.
Hmm.
All my Texans fans, I'm sure y'all hoping for D Hop to get a ring.
All right, so that's going to end the second episode of Backyard Bullies podcast. If you're still watching, we greatly appreciate that. Please like, comment, subscribe. We love to hear from y'all. If y'all have any debates or anything that y'all want us to talk about, comment on Instagram at Backyard Bullies Pod or below in the comment section. And I mean, we'll talk about anything. We got Russell Westbrook versus Harden, Smush Parker versus Steve Blake, Drew Brees versus Josh Allen. So we really just want to hear from y'all, the fans, and everybody. And if you have anything, please comment below. But that's going to end this episode. And like I said, we greatly appreciate y'all for watching. Till next time.